We're going to move on to another look at the day's newspapers. Erin Ogunki joins us on set for that. Erin, going to start in India with mass protests against Narendra Modi's agricultural reforms.
Yes, that's right, Eve. Hundreds of thousands of farmers in India have been protesting for now over 2 weeks against the controversial changes. These protests are likely to continue. That is because, as today's Indian paper, the Hindu, points out, farmers rejected yesterday government proposals to amend the laws. Now, the piece quotes farming leaders who said that these amendments were really just the same proposal dressed up in new clothes. As a reminder, the unions say that these reforms will benefit large farming corporations at the expense of small farmers. So the protesters have vowed to block the capital's highways to the cities of Agra and Jaipur by December 12th and hold a nationwide protest 2 days later. French paper Le Monde focuses on 2 Indian billionaires, both of whom are close to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that protesters have expressed particular disdain for at these protests. As this image from Le Monde shows, they have actually burned effigies of these individuals at these protests. Now, they are Mukesh Ambani and Gautam Adani. These 2 men are among India's biggest agribusiness leaders and also among the most wealthy. As such, they've kind of become symbols of what this Le Monde piece describes as India's new kind of crony capitalism, whereby powerful business leaders, often close to the government, gain from neoliberal reforms.
And of course, many people are saying that these protests are not just about agriculture.
That's right, Eve. The Washington Post, a Washington Post editorialist, published a piece this morning to that effect. She says that these protests are among the most sustained citizen-driven movements against the ruling BJP party yet. And she says that they have sparked debate about several issues: culture, identity, democracy, dissent. But most importantly, for her at least, she says that these laws are part of what she views as the Modi government's tendency to kind of jam through last-minute abrasive reforms that challenge the status quo, or at least the part of the status quo that people are satisfied with. And she concludes that the reaction to such measures shows that there is, quote, value in consensus, and that even the most popular leaders need to listen to what is coming out of the streets.
Okay, going to take a massive change of gear now, Erin, and move on to that story looking at some major changes announced by a pornography website, Pornhub. Tell us more about that story if you have it to hand.
Yes, this comes after a vast investigative piece by Nicholas Kristof, an editorialist of the New York Times, in which several young men and women came forward with their stories of exploitation and the way in which the Pornhub website profited from their exploitation. Now, this includes videos or images of people's rapes, leaked photos and videos of minors. Now, following the piece, 2 major credit card companies actually announced that they will be reviewing their ties with Pornhub in response to what was revealed by Kristof's piece. And 4 senators in the United States also introduced bipartisan legislation that would make it easier for rape victims to sue porn companies that profit from their assaults. It's kind of mind-boggling to imagine that those avenues didn't already exist, but indeed they did not. So all of this has pushed Pornhub, the company, into announcing several changes, many of which Nicholas Kristof had actually suggested in his piece, including only allowing videos to be uploaded by people whose identities have been verified, and also no longer allowing users to download, thereby saving the images of whatever it is that they're watching. That said, Times columnist Nicholas Kristof, again, who published a new piece this morning after the announcement, said that the work is far from over. He says that he doesn't necessarily trust Pornhub. He's waiting to see whether these changes will actually be, put into place. And also says that the structural changes that lead to exploitation of children in the first place need to be addressed. In the United States, at least, he suggests the way that the foster care system is dealt with, and also he says the alarming growing levels of child poverty.
So many sad stories, but it sounds like a small step at least in the right direction there. Finally, to finish, Erin, you're looking at a possible solution to misunderstandings online.
That's right, Eve. It's true that all of us have perhaps experienced difficulties in gauging what emotions are being expressed in emails, text messages, social media posts. So a group of young people and by the way, what people don't realize is that it's particularly difficult for people with, as this article points out, neurodivergent issues like autism or dyslexia to gauge these emotions. So the solution is so-called tone indicators, which are signifiers that we see there used at the end of sentences to express emotion. So the /J stands for joke, /S stands for sarcasm. So these are basically aimed at making text clearer for people.
It's sad, but I do think it might be necessary in some cases. Erin Ogunki, thanks a lot for that look at the international papers. Okay, going to take a very quick break now, but back with more updates after the break. See you then in a couple of minutes.